Recording this. Okay, I am now recording. Don't worry, YouTube, you haven't missed much. So yeah, Crimea, Castile, Ethiopia are not here. Castile should be here a bit later on, but we're going to start without him. Korea and Milan are now no longer protected. I didn't actually realise that Milan wasn't here last time. Whoops, my bad. But Korea, we knew wasn't, and that is no longer protected, because that is 2 weeks in a row with no show. I've told all the players to set up their AI settings, because we actually had to log in as one of the players to change his settings, because he hadn't done that, and I don't want to do that anymore. So, in the last session, for those of you who missed it, this is how the world looks currently. It has changed a bit. It's been, what, 15, 20 years? It's now 1468. Castile lost a war against Portugal, Aragon, and France. France helped Holland out, because Holland had a massive coalition against them, as did Denmark helped Holland, which basically kept them alive. England gobbled up the majority of the British Isles. Kildare is England's march, and has taken over most of Ireland. Meanwhile, Brandenburg has secured their northern provinces. Austria has got more of a coastline. I don't think the Ottomans have done very much. Morocco lost a war against Castile. Morocco had actually taken out Granada and then lost it to the Castellan player, which basically united Iberia against them. So before that, Iberia was rather split. What else happened? Timurids seem to be expanding nicely and have not had the explosion. Poor old Daviet over here had a really rough time. They apparently went bankrupt, which I didn't even realise at the time. No, I did realise, because we interviewed them. But Daviet did go bankrupt, fighting against Champa. They took Champa, made them a vassal. Meanwhile, Lanzang had declared war on Champa, dragging them into a war against Daviet. Daviet basically lost that war, but managed to hold on to Champa. So I think that is the state of affairs. Plus, of course, we have the Congo down here, who initially had done nothing, and then the next time I looked over there, I was like, this is a really big Congo. So clearly he's been doing some conquering, so good for them. Just going to scroll my Discord so I can actually see if anyone jumps into commentary box with me. I have told the players that they have about 5 minutes to get set up. Helson is the host, so Helson will be unpausing it probably in about a minute or so. Also in that 5 minutes I said, set up your damned AI settings. Like, they're important. And hello everyone, how are you all doing this fine afternoon? I almost said evening, because I'm so used to streaming in the evenings. Getting up for 3 o'clock in the afternoon is surprisingly difficult when you live on American time. Every time I think about playing a multiplayer game in EU4, I just need to tune into a streamer like Mordred streaming multiplayer to remind myself it's cutthroat backstabby. I have been promised that there are definitely going to be shenanigans going on. I don't want to say too much, but I've definitely heard about some shenanigans going on in the background, so there is going to be some stuff going on.
You go on, Mordred. What's going on? How long has it been? When do you want me to start it?
Go for it.
All right, starting now then.
Cool. Okay, sorry, I didn't realise they were waiting on me. I just said go ahead and start. Cool. So, you were asking about America. I don't think anyone's got to America yet. In fact, we're clicking on see everything that players can see, and America has not yet been explored. So, no America yet. And in fact, one of the things I did promise to do at the end of the previous session was go through all of the players and take a look at their idea groups, just to see what they have going on. So we'll start in order of the player list. We have Arachnos over here in Daviet, not yet got a idea group. They are admin 4. They're actually not too far away from admin 5. We have Portugal, who does have admin 5. They have taken exploration. So we do have our first explorer, and if I remember correctly, they start with an explorer. But it doesn't look like he's had much use. Yeah, Diego Gomez is actually an explorer, but he has not been using him to explore. I don't know if he's doing that now. Nope, he is currently protecting trade in Sevilla, so he probably doesn't realise that this is an explorer. So Portugal's definitely made a bit of a whoopsie, which is going to set back expansion elsewhere. He's explored a little bit of the Ivory Coast, perhaps. I don't know if he starts with this explored. They never actually played as Portugal. So we could start some colonies going on down there. And Arguin is almost certainly going to be the first one, although I've just realised that Tenerife, the Canaries got split up, and Tenerife has not actually been colonised yet. It doesn't start colonised, it used to. That is interesting. Alright, Timurids, have you got any idea groups? The Timmy went innovative. Interesting, so Timurids are aware that they're going to tech up slowly. So one thing I should highlight is we are currently using a mod called the No Development mod. No institution development, if you want to find it on Steam, which blocks you from using development to get institutions. You have to get it through natural institution spread. So Timurids are aware that they can't just dev up and tech up, so they've probably gone innovative to A, make technologies a little bit cheaper, and B, just to do more tech, probably, and get the institutions and things like that spreading a little bit quicker. Because they're probably going to have to try and get it from the Ottomans, and then the Ottomans from the rest of the Europeans. And then poor old Daiviet over here is going to be very backwards compared to most of the other players. And this is done on purpose. I want there to be more East-West dialogue going on, because very often I found in multiplayer, the West does their thing, the East does their thing, and never the two talk. This forces them to, because the East is hungry for that technology, and that forces them to start brokering some deals with the West, so the West starts getting involved with the East rather than just thinking of them as colonial subjects to be. Okay, so they've taken innovative, that is a good choice. And we have Holland, who've taken economic rather than trade. I do think that this is a better early financial selection, so economic allows you to build up your development. It actually makes more money with the tax rate than trade. Trade really comes into its own later on once the tier 2 trade ships come into play. I find that the barks are actually kind of junk. So once they get caravels, that's really when you want to start building trade ships. Hey, 94th Min, Scottish Wolf, Cappy Face, Katie, Sir Humphrey, Boston Man, how are you all guys doing? Hello, hello, hello. Alright, so that is Holland. Then in Poland we have got also innovative, and in fact Helson is pushing the ideas very strongly. Most of the people that we've looked at so far haven't actually taken any ideas, they've just chosen the group. But Poland is already 3 deep in, which gives him the tech cost reduction. And that is going to allow him to get these for cheaper. He is actually technically a little bit behind, especially in Diplo and a little bit in admin. So that's going to make that easier to achieve. And then maybe he'll be able to convert the points that he's saving into development. Or just more ideas. Sweden has not chosen an idea yet. Still on admin 4 and nowhere near 5. So I think Sweden's going to be a ways away. Sweden's actually kind of behind when it comes to this, although they've kept up technologically, and that is always the important one. Especially early on, when people are looking for opportunities to expand. Are Sweden still a vassal? Personal union. That's Poland. Sweden is indeed still a personal union, with 4 liberty desire. So nobody can support their independence, so no shenanigans with that just yet. Alright, Congo. What is Mean Wolf doing? Mean Wolf does not have any ideas. They're still on admin 3. They are in Africa, so they will be teching up amongst the slowest at the moment. They haven't even got military 4, which... see if their neighbours do. Mil 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, so Congo is not doing terribly, all things considered. Then there's me. I don't have ideas. I am the idea. Morocco hasn't actually chosen any yet. Morocco is still on admin 3? What's Morocco been doing with their admin points? Morocco is in the Muslim tech group, so they shouldn't be that far behind. And they don't have the Renaissance yet. That might be what they're waiting for. Do they have a big bank of points? No, they don't. I assume that Morocco must have been deving up then. What's your development like? 179. With a lot of base tax. So yeah, I suspect that Morocco has been doing development, because the manpower is lagging behind, and the manpower is amongst their most developed technologies. So that is what I'm expecting them to do. Congo is waiting for Portugal to pass him so he can become Catholic. Oh, okay. Unfortunately, I don't know what development Morocco starts on. Has that just gone up again? I feel like, yeah, he's deving up. He's definitely deving up. Alright, so that's what Morocco is doing. I think they're trying to make themselves able to counter the Iberians. I know that he was kind of irritated, shall we say, that he lost that previous war. And then we have got the English, who have taken maritime ideas, as we actually explored last time, which I think is a good pick. It's going to allow them to get some early naval tradition, thanks to the ships protecting trade giving more naval tradition, which means better admirals. Plus he's going to have the wooden wall doctrine, so England should be really quite resistant to invasion, and they've almost got the Royal Navy, which gives their heavy ships even more combat ability, and also the naval tradition. What was the first Polish idea, in fact? Select Poland. Poland's first one is just production efficiency, it's not a huge one. Alright, Denmark. What has Denmark taken? Denmark has also gone for maritime, so we're definitely going to be seeing some naval clashes between the Danish and the English. However, in this instance, I think Denmark probably should have gone for naval, because Denmark will be relying more heavily on galleys, and naval is excellent for early galley combat ability. I don't know if the Danes and the English have any alliances. Are they rivals or anything like this? They are actually rivals. So there is definitely animosity between those two. And if Denmark wants to try and compete with the English through trade, early on I think that's going to be a bit problematic. Especially because Denmark with a player Sweden is, I would say, less likely to personal union Sweden. Maybe he's going to rely on Sweden to be the army and then he's going to do the navy. Plus, we should of course remember that Denmark does have the naval force limit modifier, but that comes into play an awful lot later. He does have an excellent yearly naval tradition here, though. Wow, the English only get a 0.25 and Denmark gets a +1. It's 4 times better. It's crazy. Has Morocco developed a gold mine? That's a good question. Although that's usually production. No, he hasn't. Gold mine has not been done. I would assume it's the cloth production places, because one nice thing about cloth is it actually reduces the dev cost. This is already a dev 15. I assume that the African Berlin has been devved up. Even though it's in the mountains, that's not going to be very cheap. Over here we have some dry lands. This should be devved up. It's not really. Sugar? But we're talking about admin here. Admin's not really to do with trade power. What about if we go to simple terrain? That's dry land, that's highlands. Yeah, Morocco's not very good territory to develop. 7, 9. I'm not convinced. Alright, the Ottomans. The Ottomans are at war. They're currently fighting against Georgia, sweet Georgia. Trying to expand their holdings out there a bit more, I assume. Crimea, even though Crimea is a player, they are currently a vassal. That was because of an event which triggered. I do believe that these two have an agreement or a deal of some kind going on, but because Crimea is protected, there's not much that they can do about things right now. Castile is protected. Castile's player is away for the moment. Yeah, we actually have all 3 Iberian players. Portugal, Castile, and Aragon are all players. Austria. What has Austria taken as an idea? Austria has not taken an idea, which is a little bit surprising. Wow! Austria is really behind in admin. But Austria has expanded down here. So I wonder if Austria is behind because I've had to core things. These are not cheap provinces to core. They're quite large. Yeah, I'm going to assume that was the issue. Also, he has not been adding these provinces to HRE, which is surprising, seeing as he is the emperor. Right? Yeah, Austria is the emperor. And Austria has 3 of the votes, and the other votes are split. So what have you been doing it on? Tyrol also hasn't been developed. These guys have not been developing their gold mines, like at all. What about Castile? Come on, Castile. Castile has. A little bit too much, but that might have been an event or something. The number you want to aim for is 10 production. What happens if, say, Lithuania or the Golden Horde declare on Crimea? They're allowed to defend themselves. And being a march onto the Ottomans will also be called in. Like, if the AI crushes you, not much we can do about it. players can set AI settings for their nation to say, don't declare war on other nations, and also you can set them so they don't break alliances and that type of thing. But other AI nations picking on your nation, there's not much you can do about that. Really, the best solution is to have strong allies, and then hope that they join the war. Also, one of the AI settings is to try and peace out very quickly, so they'll just go for a white peace as soon as they can. I think the Timurids are trying to block Muscovy. That is quite possible. Yeah, that certainly looks likely, doesn't it, going after the Uzbeks there. Quite a few people are at war. We should probably take a look at that. So the Timurids are currently fighting against Uzbek, Mongolia, and Oirat. Where's Mongolia? Oirat, Mongolia is over there. So they're going up against the hordes, which is not always easy, but it looks like they're making some pretty good ground. And they are taking the forts. Is that the capital? That's the capital. Yeah, I would say that's right. You are definitely trying, or they are definitely trying to block the Muscovites. So who else is fighting? Arachnos in Daiviet is fighting again. Who are you up against? You are against Malacca. So I think Daiviet's trying to get some of the territory down here in Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia. Where is Kuala Lumpur? Is that it? I know this is Malaysia. Geography. Failure. Sorry. So yeah, they're probably trying to expand into there. I think also they're trying to stop Ayutthaya from grabbing that land and becoming even stronger, because I know Daiviet is worried about Ayutthaya and Lanzang. Darkfighter, we've already seen, is fighting. Helsen is fighting against Mecklenburg, Lübeck, Saxe-Lauenburg, and Bremen. I suspect that's on behalf of Brandenburg, so that Brandenburg can expand a little bit further. Brandenburg was kind of accusing me of trying to get him into trouble during the last stream, and I was saying it's dangerous to help Brandenburg out, especially if they're trying to become Prussia. Right now, Poland holds all the cards required to create Prussia, but yeah, I'm still not convinced. But if that's the path they want to go, then that's the path they want to go. Sweden is also in that war, so this is Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Poland, Brandenburg versus the various smaller North German nations. I don't think they're going to have many problems with that. That is the Georgian War, as we saw. That's the same one. And France is at war with Papal States, going after Avignon, even though Avignon... Oh no, that is Papal States. They've changed the colour. No, that is actually Avignon. Are they a vassal? I don't think I've ever seen an independent Avignon. That's interesting. So that's not the Papal States. My bad. It just looks very similar to the Papal States. Okay, so it's just Avignon and Alsace. And then Alsace is here. So I don't think there's going to be much that they do. They are going after the forts, however. But this is France. France has got this. France is just going after Provence. And the fact that Avignon was lost by the Papal States, which I'm still a little bit surprised by, is a good thing for the French, because the French are going to grow a bit bigger because of this. I mean, as a commentator, Mordred, isn't it kind of your duty to sow discontent and drama? I don't need to. The players will do that on their own. Scoring initially is a pain. Yeah, it does set you back. I mean, it makes a lot of sense in multiplayer games to try and grab as much territory as you can, but then again, it is going to set you back in terms of getting ideas. I would say early on it probably is more important to grab those juicy parcels of territory, especially if you have some stuff nearby, like the Dutch. As much as I will decry them for getting into that coalition, have actually done pretty well with the territories that they have taken. Although they probably want to try and get Hamburg and Bremen. Except for Hamburg and Bremen are in Lübeck's trade league. So they are actually against a trade league. I wonder if Denmark wants Lübeck. I can't see Lübeck. Can't see the Danes giving that up to Brandenburg. Lübeck is one of the most valuable ports in the Lübeck trade node, thus called for a particular reason. They're fighting the Hansa. The patricians would not be happy. Right, so where did we get to with the ideas? Kildare, we have not looked at you yet. I'm going to guess exploration. No, they haven't picked yet. They've just got available. So we're going to have to look at Kildare. I'm going to guess exploration, but I don't know for sure. Because they're definitely set up for that. But then Kildare is not the colonizer Irish. I don't really know what Kildare really specialises in. Armies, I guess. They have very nice fort defence. Unrest is going to make them more stable. Prestige is going to make them fight and trade and just do everything a bit better. Diplo rep, not very useful in a multiplayer. That's more if you want to have a lot of vassals. Improve relations, that's again diplomatic. Morale for armies makes you stronger fighting. Tech cost for tech cost. Going to have slightly better cavalry. In fact, their cavalry is going to be pretty good. Construction cost is always a pretty strong choice. And then manpower. I mean, they're not the best ideas. They're not bad, but they're not great. Aragon. Aragon has gone for nothing yet. Aragon is still waiting to tech up to admin 5, but they should be there pretty quickly. Then we have got Brandenburg, which really should have gone economic or something like that. Innovative. You know what? That makes sense. If Brandenburg wants to stay on the cutting edge of technology, then going innovative is a good idea, especially if they want to be able to counter the Polish. What did Austria take? Austria has not got one yet. Of course, yeah, they are not. They don't have the tech. They don't have the points for it. Wow, I cannot speak properly today. Then France. France does not have one yet either. They are also a little bit behind in admin tech, and will probably fall even further behind when they core all of this. France was in a bit of trouble after all the coalitions and the fighting they've been doing. Like, France's allies have really been using and abusing France a little bit, so I very much hope that France has a bit of a quieter game this time, just to sit back, lick their wounds, build up a bit more, because France is such a powerhouse. But they've really been weakened by all of the wars on their neighbours. Like, France has proven they're a very good ally. Like, they've come to every single war that they've been called into, and they have fought it, and they've fought it hard. That currency is extremely valuable in multiplayer games because you've shown you're reliable. But now you need to sit back and rest up and heal up a bit. Otherwise, people will start abusing that fact. And then we have Muscovy. Muscovy have taken offensive ideas, so Muscovy has gone aggressive, and so far they're the only player to have done so. Offensive is a good early combat ability. They have got the siege ability, which is going to allow them to take territory more quickly, although Muscovy being in the steppes, I would say that offensive ideas are not quite as good. It does mean you get better land leader shock. Shock early on is king. We are still very much in the shock phase, I'm going to call it, of the game. Recruitment time, I don't think is a great one. Land leader fire is going to be better later on. Prestige from land battles. Hey.
Mordred. We got a person trying to join his teardrop. Is that allowed? Or Terndrup. Terndrup.
Yeah. Where?
I just want to make sure he's somebody from here, not some random.
I don't know who that is. There's no one in chat. Is someone on Discord?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, community multiplayer. Oh, it's Raven.
Is it Raven?
Yeah, I think it's Raven.
Alright. I'm going with you gave approval, so if they mess it up, it's your fault.
Well, how else would they have the details? Because I've not said anything on chat to people about this.
Well, it's not like it's a very hard password given who's running this.
That's true. Yes, Terndrup is Ethiopia, so it is him.
Alrighty then. They are allowed in.
That was funny. So, okay, so Ethiopia has now shown up, so Ethiopia is no longer protected. I'm just going to add that to my... I have a little register where I can see who exactly all the players are. This is just mostly so I can see more at a glance who all the players are. So, Ethiopia is now in the game. Cool. I think he did say he'd be late. I know Calico said he'd be late. That's Castile. The password is not 12345, no. Neither is it 123456. I mean, honestly, guys, if you do want to join, then head on over to the Discord. It is open, it is a community multiplayer. It is not subscriber only or anything like that. Head over to the Discord and then check out the details in the community multiplayer tab. Like, it is open, so if you want to join, you can join. Is it get gold? No, but that should have been an amazing password. I might need to use that in the future. Right, let me just bring all of my windows back into order. So how do I feel about people's idea choices? I think Muscovy going for offensive early on is going to prove that they want to be aggressive, and that might be one of the reasons why the Timurids are trying to cut them off. Plus, Muscovy equals Russia, and letting Russia really balloon into Russia, especially if they have access to Siberia, is usually a good. Is usually a bad thing, not a good thing. Bad thing for everyone else, good thing for the Russians. Then Poland taking innovative is an interesting choice. It's a kind of a passive choice early on. Sure, it's going to give you a bit of a technological edge and it's going to pay dividends long term, but Poland is generally in kind of a bad position because they're wedged in between a number of major powers. So I maybe would have chosen something a bit more aggressive. Maybe Poland's hoping to build an early lead, which they can then cash in later on. I would assume that's what he's trying to do. We know that Helson's a very strong player, probably one of the strongest players here. So he's probably made a good choice. And especially with his alliance chain, like being allied to Brandenburg and Denmark, that's strong. His main nemesis right now, I think, will be the Ottomans and probably Muscovy. So he's still got rivals on 2 flanks, basically, but his western flank is secure, more or less. Plus, I believe, I can't check this stuff because this tab blocks everything. I think that Muscovy is allied to the Ottomans, so we do have the unholy alliance over here. Austria hadn't picked. Brandenburg. Innovative. So Brandenburg and Poland, I think, are just trying to get that early monarch point start so they can then dev up a little bit more later on. Denmark taking maritime. I think it's a good pick for England, but I'm not convinced by Denmark. I think Denmark probably should have gone naval. But I don't know if Denmark is planning to go aggressive naval, especially early on. Maritime is going to give you the capacity to do a lot of blockades and a lot of privateering. But considering England and Denmark are at odds, I would give England the early tip in terms of naval power, unless you're fighting in the inland seas. If you can provoke the English into fighting in the Baltic, as the Danes, that would be very strong, and that's kind of why you want naval ideas with the Danes. The other one, which I think would have been a strong choice for Denmark, would have been economic. Denmark is actually one of the easiest areas to dev up. It's got a lot of farmland and a lot of plains, so that 20% cheaper development cost would have paid dividends for them. Hey Ben. Who is Poland at war with? Poland's at war with the Hanseatic League on behalf of Brandenburg. Brandenburg declared war on Mecklenburg, who I believe is allied to Lübeck, and then Lübeck, being in a trade league, has called everyone else. Oh no, they haven't called the league. This is just against Lübeck. Who's fighting Bremen then? I saw Bremen was occupied. Oh, they pieced Bremen out. Okay. Bremen's allied to Hamburg. Hamburg is allied to Riga and Bremen. They are in the trade league, but no, they're in Genoa's trade league. Huh. Interesting. Oh, that's because Lübeck just died. So yes, Lübeck was given to the Danes. I thought it might be. That is a very good result for the Danes. And it doesn't actually look like... Oh no, they're a vassal. So yeah, Brandenburg got Mecklenburg and Denmark got Lübeck. Good result. How did the viewer campaign go? Did I get enough? Boombox, it's an ongoing thing. It's not just one-off. So I need to keep an average of 75 viewers for the entire month. So far it's going really well. I'm very happy with how things are progressing. Our average is far above 75. I'm just kind of waiting for some of the lower streams from last month to drop off the end of the 30-day period that they take into account. But that doesn't mean that we should get complacent. We absolutely shouldn't. So we need to keep the numbers up. So keep watching.